Hi guys, Drew here, and this is my next installment in the ABC Pagan Challenge. F is for flowers. Now, I think it's safe to say that most, if not all, witches that practice herbcraft probably work with some flowers. I work with quite a few, but either way, in case you're a witch who doesn't, or if maybe you don't work with some of the flowers that I work with, I thought I'd share. I'll be giving some information from other sources. I really respect Scott Cunningham, but I always look for other sources as well, and I like to compare. And when I find different sources that are in agreement about what a plant or flower or whatever, seashell, I don't care. If they're in agreement about what it does, I take that and kind of run with it, but I also pay attention to the other things they say, even if they differ from one another, because I feel like if I don't work with it in that capacity, there's no way for me to know if it works that way. And also, I will say that I'll be throwing in some of my own feelings and my own experiences working with these, and I feel like I have my own energy, and my crafting and my work carries its own energy. And the way these energies interact with any correspondent involved, the way that I do my magic, whether it be spontaneous or it be really planned out with the planetary hours and what have you, all of that comes into play. So take what I say with a grain of salt. It's true for me, but that doesn't mean it's true for you. With all that being said, I think we're good to go. Okay, so first let's start with chamomile. And of course, it is a pretty common one in herbcraft. Chamomile is good for spells and workings involving money, sleep, love, purification, protection, healing, and blessings. I love working with chamomile. I find its energy, it is very sort of gentle energy. And I find that chamomile blends well with anything else that I've used it with. I personally mainly use chamomile for workings dealing with love, blessings, healing, and anything involving like calmness or peace or what have you. Next we have daisies. Now, I work with daisy a lot, and daisy is part of what I call love offering. Many of the flowers I work with are flowers that my husband or that other people have brought to me. They've given to me out of love. And once they're past their prime, I dry them out and I use them in spellcraft. Daisy's properties make it useful for lust, love, fae connection, connecting with the fairies, protection, purification, wealth, and health. And I definitely use daisy in spells dealing with money, with fairy connection. Absolutely. Anything I do regarding fairies is going to have some daisy in it. Next, dandelion. I also use dandelion leaves, but these are just the little dandelion heads. And these I get out in the yard. A lot of my flowers are given to me as love offerings, and a lot of them are ones that I harvest myself. You can see some of my dandelions went all poofy after I harvested them. When I harvest them, they're all just the regular yellow heads, but you can see this one in particular, poofed out. Weird. It'd be interesting to experiment and to see if the energies of the white poofy and the yellow were different. I might have to play with that. So with dandelion, you got divination, wishes, calling spirits, deflection of disharmonious energy, visions, psychic powers, other world, happiness, animal protection, healing, purification, and any kind of defensive magic. And it might sound kind of weird because you have these beautiful bright yellow flowers out in your yard in the spring and the summer, but to me they have a very sort of dark energy, and they are other world and divination and calling spirits and defensive magic and all of that sort of yummy dark goddess kind of energy going on with them. Next, we'll talk about hibiscus. Now, I have only ever worked with this one hibiscus, so I can't pretend to know about all hibiscus, and it kind of has an interesting story. I like to go to Lowe's in particular and find plants that they've given up on, that they're just ready to let die and they put on sale, and bring them home and try to resurrect them. And I had gotten this little hibiscus and planted her out in the yard where we used to live. And everybody would always tease me and say that it was just a twig and there was no point for me wasting my time and energy, but I just kept feeding her all this loving energy and telling her that she was going to grow into this big, beautiful hibiscus, and just really giving her love, and absolutely 100% believed that she would bloom. I had complete faith in her, and she did. And I am not exaggerating when I say that her big, beautiful white blossoms were bigger than my hand. And I call her my goddess flower. Now, unfortunately, she is still where we used to live, so I'm going to have to get some more. And I'll be interested to see if the energy is any different with my new hibiscus than with this goddess flower. Hibiscus is great for workings involving freedom, harmony, relaxation, independence, passion, romance, and activation. And again, I've only worked with this one, but the energy of this hibiscus, I really feel like Venus, Aphrodite energy, definitely that love and maybe lust and passion and romance and what have you. Next is hydrangea. I actually have a hydrangea bush in the backyard that I harvest from, but this is from a different source. I have like 4 different sources because my husband will bring me home flowers that he picks as well as ones that he buys at the store. And so I have my hydrangeas, and then I have all these other hydrangeas. My hydrangeas are big, and they actually kind of lose their color as they dry out. I'm going to try them in the dehydrator this year and see if that makes a difference. Maybe I should try the oven too. I don't know. I'm going to figure out a way to help them retain their color. So hydrangea is basically only good for hex breaking, boundaries, and protection. And that has been from every source I've looked at. And that is the only thing that I've ever personally used it for. Not hex breaking. Fortunately, I haven't needed it for that purpose, but for protection, boundaries, that kind of thing. Next are jasmine flowers. And as you can see, I just have the tiniest little bit of these right now. I'll be the first to admit that I haven't worked with jasmine overly much. Jasmine's great for love, money, psychic dreams, lust, protection, healing, and banishing. For me, jasmine has, sort of almost dark energy about it as well. So I think for me, it works best with banishing and defensive magic, things of that nature. Next is another one that everyone's probably at least tried, lavender. I just adore lavender. I know that there are people who don't, but even if I weren't a witch, I'd have to have lavender around. It's just fabulous. To me, lavender is the rosemary of the flower world. Rosemary can be substituted for just about any other herb in a pinch, and I feel like lavender is kind of the same way. Not only does it have a really sort of gentle, cohesive energy, but it's got a million different properties as far as spell work goes. So love, protection, sleep, chastity, longevity, happiness, peace, psychic powers, visions, dreams, meditation, calming, working with the fae, elves in particular, creativity, cleansing, anointing, exorcism, ancestors. It's associated with Letha, the underworld, the She, and spirit contact. So yeah, a basic catch-all ingredient to have in your witchy cabinet that can be used in almost any situation. And we also grow our lavender and harvest our lavender from the yard. It is not a difficult plant to grow. As long as it gets full sun and has drainage so that its roots aren't constantly soaking wet, you should be fine. Next are orchids. Now, I have not officially worked with the orchid yet. I just got this. I've had other orchids, but I never thought to use them in my practice. I haven't had one in a really long time. And this I just got for my birthday from a friend, so it was a love offering. And I'm really excited to work with it and see what I can get into. So orchid has goddess energy, lust, fertility, harmony, love, spirituality, intuition, and wealth. And if you've ever been around orchids, I'm sure you will agree that I can see that they have that hard goddess energy, that love and fertility and beauty and all the stuff that comes along with those sort of juicy love goddesses. Next is red poppy, my pitiful little red poppy. This is all I have left. It's so sad because I really do enjoy working with red poppy. Red poppy is great for any workings dealing with fertility, love, sleep, money, luck, and invisibility. For anybody who's scratching their head at the invisibility part, for me, when anything, any spell working, any herb or component of spellcraft talks about invisibility as one of its correspondences, I take that to mean, let's say I'm working in an environment where I want a coworker to not take notice of me because we don't get along. I can work with those plants, those correspondences in that situation to sort of make myself quote unquote invisible. I have fortunately not needed to use red poppy for that sort of purpose, so I can't speak to how well it works for that. But I do love to use it with anything regarding love, money, and luck. Another one that's probably in any witch's toolkit who works with herbs and flowers is rose. I kind of have a lot going on here. We've got the leaves, and then it's kind of hard to see in here, but I also have thorns. Nice for defensive magic. And a rose is in there as well, but rose is great for workings involving love, psychic powers, healing, divination, luck, and protection. And I also feel that rose is very much like lavender and rosemary as far as it can be substituted in a pinch. It is a very versatile flower that's energy mingles really well with other components. And I don't know that there's anything that I couldn't use rose for and it wouldn't enhance what I was doing. Next is sunflower. I absolutely adore sunflower. Daisies and sunflowers are two of my favorite all-time flowers. And they're the two go-to when it comes to working with the fae as well. Sunflowers are great for fertility, wishes, health, wisdom, working with the fae, elves in particular, purification, consecration, change, good fortune, happiness, vitality, potency, power, strength, and truth. And for me, sunflower is definitely that happy, sunshiny plant. I can use it for any of those things listed for sure. Like I said, definitely when working with the fae. And for me, a very powerful union is sunflower and dragon's blood. That adds a huge kick of energy to any working that I do. Next is wisteria. We have wisteria in the backyard, so we harvest our own wisteria. I absolutely adore wisteria. I am not the biggest green thumb on the planet, but it is definitely a plant that you can easily grow as it is pretty much a weed. Although I will say, if you're going to grow wisteria, you have to be smart about it, particularly if you have trees in your yard, because it's a very invasive plant. My husband and I we got a wisteria arbor and put it up in the back, and we took big buckets, I don't know, maybe 5-gallon buckets, and cut out the bottoms of them and put them down in the ground and planted the wisteria within it. This allows the roots to settle into the soil, but keeps the plant from being able to spread out all over the yard. I've heard the same is true for bamboo. So wisteria is great for protection, psychic ability, meditation, love, prosperity, healing, grief, channeling, blessings, purification, transformation, and wisdom. For me, wisteria is all about that psychic awareness, meditation, channeling, wisdom, all that sort of psychic umbrella stuff. It really has that energy to me. Then we have cherry blossoms. I grew up in the Far East, so I adore cherry blossom trees. The first tree we ever planted in the yard was a cherry blossom. And this year we got our first really good harvest out of her. I'm thinking that this year I want to start putting wisteria up in our Etsy shop. And next year, hopefully, she'll be bigger and she'll have twice as many blossoms. So I should be able to put cherry blossom up in the shop too. And I'll be selling them really cheap, maybe hydrangea. And I might even include them in certain orders depending on what was ordered, just as a free gift. So cherry blossom's great for love, new beginnings, good fortune, bounty, and divine connection. I absolutely feel full on God and goddess energy coming off of my cherry blossom tree. So for me, yeah, it is about that sort of spiritual, divine connection, this I don't know, ambrosia, nectar of the gods kind of vibe going on. I don't know. I haven't really worked with it overly much because this is the first year that we've gotten a real harvest out of her. I'm excited to figure out what I can do with it. Then we have tulips. This is another one that is new to me. I just got these tulips for Valentine's Day from my husband. It's the first time I've ever had tulips. So I'm looking forward to working with them. Tulips are great for beauty, desire, gratitude, grounding Venus energy, love, healing, and simplicity. For me, again, I haven't really worked with them yet, so I'm not sure what direction I'm going to go in, except when I saw that one of their correspondences was simplicity, I was intrigued. So I think that the next time I'm feeling overwhelmed and like my life has gotten too complicated, I'm going to try working with these to simplify it and see what happens. Last but certainly not least is my flower medley. Now, you can see there's all kinds of stuff in here. I love those purple flowers. This has roses, lavender, my goddess flower, wisteria, hydrangea, dandelions, daisy, anything that I've got out and I've shown you already. But on top of that, it has wildflowers that grow in my yard that I have no understanding of what their properties are because I don't even know what they are. They're just going to get mowed down by my husband. So I go out and I harvest a bunch of them and I bring them in and I use them as offerings in gratitude rituals. I use them in anything to do with love. There are many ways to use these. For instance, if a friend wasn't feeling well or it was their birthday or something of that nature, I could charge and enchant these flowers and put them in a card as card confetti and give it to them. Things of that nature. There are so many things that can be done with something like this. So that's it. F is for flowers. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys. And until next time, much love and gratitude.